And we're back with another kind of just rambling video here. Today going to be talking about kind of a related topic to my voice is going right. Related to last week's topic, kind of talked about love alternative there. Except kind of related, except kind of not. It's just kind of some random thoughts on the essentially childhood marriage promise trope that gets used a lot in anime, visual novels, manga, light novels, and it's kind of not related to last week's topic because I didn't really talk about it then, and it's not really the related, but so I guess kind of I'll start off with like there's a kind of version of the trope that's inoffensive, in like not in the sense of causing offense, but like in the sense of inobtrusive, basically. And that's like that whole thing where like you'll have the main couple and one of them, usually the girl, will be like, hey, do you remember that time we were kids and we promised to get married? And the male character will be like, either don't remember it or like, haha, wow, yeah, we were really kids when we did that, can't remember, we did something so embarrassing. And the girl will be like, yeah, embarrassing, ha ha ha. And you can tell that she's just like dying inside because she actually still wants a relationship. And like that's kind of it's cliche, but like it's functional. It shows like, okay, yeah, one of these characters actively wants a relationship, the other one doesn't feel the same way about her, or does but is in denial about it. So it's cliche, but it's functional, is what I said, like not even 30 seconds ago. So that's not really the version I'm talking about. Rather, I'm talking about kind of, let's call it the more active variant, where it's like more of a plot point. So the kind you see in Meia's arc of Muv-Luv Extra, or Nisekoi, or Love Hina would be the really big one. Kind of maybe to a lesser extent in what's that one? Gotogen, but not so much. I think they actually handled it kind of differently, so I don't know if that really counts as the same. But like the one where usually you'll have the main character who remembers this promise and is like, I would say actively seeking to fulfill it or whatever, but I mean usually the characters aren't actively seeking it, but that's just like, you know, kind of the plot not starting for years before until it does. Like the issue that those stories all kind of run into with it, and kind of the paradox behind the trope, so to speak, is that you have to walk a fine line between, okay, so this relationship, whatever girl that the main character knew back when he was a kid, is so important to him that he wants to be with her even years after not seeing her. But you're also walking this really fine line where it's, man, I need to turn down this audio. But at the same time, the main test. Okay. But at the same time, the main character And now I'm in a boss fight. Should have started talking before then. Right, so like you have this main character who like cares enough about this relationship that they had in the past that, you know, they've decided that they want to rekindle that, but they know like nothing about them. Like, I think Nisekoi is probably the worst defender because it's like, okay, so this is this super important promise that you've held on to for like, I don't know how long it was, like a decade or whatever. But in the end, it ends up being this super complicated, like, you were hanging out with like half a dozen girls and made several promises and of different natures, and you've somehow forgotten all of that into just like vaguely remembering that there was a girl and a promise, but you're still sure that it was super important. Like, that's kind of the paradox I'm talking about, like the fine line between insisting that the main character has this very selective amnesia, so to speak, where yeah, like very selective amnesia. I said, didn't I? So yeah, like Nisekoi is the worst offender with that. Love Hina did it too, but I think so. I'm not really a fan of Ken Akamatsu's writing. I don't like dislike it, but like the few times I've tried to get into his stuff, it's like I've never really super cared for it. Love Hina was kind of the same way, but at the same time, it feels like it was kind of this influential work that got copied, and the copies kind of degraded in quality, I guess, or I don't know if I'm super qualified to talk about like the influence on that, because like I'm not going to claim to be an expert on harem mangas. Kind of this weird paradox of my own where it's like, I don't want to claim to be an expert in harem mangas because no one wants to have that title, but at the same time I have to claim a certain amount of qualification to be qualified to talk about this like in a video. But I wouldn't consider myself like a particular connoisseur of harem mangas, but I've been like into this anime thing for quite some time, so I've picked up. I've seen a few at least. Right, Love Hina. I think what that series had that imitators might kind of miss, and I don't know, maybe there were examples of the trope before he used it, I don't know, is like, I felt that at least he had a clear sense that the main character was supposed to be kind of crazy in this aspect. Like, you've got this character who is holding out to get into a college that's clearly a long shot for him, and he's doing it based off this half-remembered promise that he made back when he was a kid. So that's kind of a, you know, too fast on that one. It's kind of a, he's not, like, essentially the whole plot is like, yeah, he's doing it's a stupid decision, but that's like, it's a story about a guy who made a stupid decision. It's like, yeah, something like that at least. And I don't know, maybe I'm misremembering. It's been like years, over a decade, I think, since I did anything regarding that series. So maybe I'm misremembering or reading something that wasn't written into there or whatever. But, like, yeah. That was less topic than I was expecting. Alright, just some other examples, like, you know, might as well cover Mudlove Extra. That one's kind of like one of the worst offenders in my mind, like I already covered Nisekoi, obviously, but like, because of the sheer, like, shortness of the relationship that spawned that promise, so to speak. It's like, okay, this is like someone you knew for a few hours, and like not even one of those like, oh, we knew each other super well back then. And like it kind of fits with Meia's characterization, because, you know, she's totally the type to be like, oh yes, I made this minor promise once, I must keep it. But at the same time, the story's trying to sell this as a, like, and then it was true love and they were all happily ever after. And like there are some things that could be like an interesting interpretation in there if you read things that aren't in the story into it. Like, you could see it as this, oh, Meia's just trying to escape her arranged marriage and is kind of clinging on to like this promise she made as a kid, because that's like the little bit of control she can assert over her life. And that would be like, you could have an interesting story there, but like the whole problem with like an alternative to Karu's main characterization arc, or one of them, so to speak, I guess he has a couple, is basically learning the idea that, and I died, learning the idea that even if it's circumstances that you didn't ask for or put yourself into, that sometimes you have to sacrifice your own safety, life, personal comfort, or whatever for the good of other people. And this is a parallel to Meia's thing, where she's like both her duty to the shogunate in alternative and in extra her duty to the Mitsurugi group. And I just walked right into that bullet. But yeah, so thematically it doesn't work to have her kind of be, and she's like in alternative, the, you know, guiding light or noble confidant or whatever translation you're going with for that. The whole point is that she's supposed to be, and I got it again, the kind of moral mentor for Takeru in that aspect. So it doesn't really work to have her in, I think I'm just gonna bomb spam through this. It doesn't work to have her be trying to evade a similar responsibility in extra. So game over already. Yeah, I guess I'm just kind of wrapping up that. Yeah, so that whole trying to evade her responsibility is not that she was like obligated to do it, but the idea that she felt that she was obligated to do it doesn't really work out with that. I think I reversed my phrasing of that sentence like halfway through, but there's a lot of extra kind of like was adjacent to several things that could have been interesting takes on that particular trope, but they kind of couldn't, and I'd say even their actual implementation kind of doesn't quite work with alternative, but yeah.